All right, Arizona Cardinal fans, it's time for the Red Rain podcast. This is episode 204 over our now going on 6 seasons together. So please allow me to welcome in your host, the one, the only, the incredible Walter Mitchell.
Oh, my Red Ring crew, they're the incredible ones. Sam the man from Scottsdale, fresh off the waste management tournament. He's back in the saddle. And we got Kyle Little Rock Ledbetter from Sacktown, sporting a Tampa Bay Rays hat, which, by the way, I'm going to offer a ray of hope at the end of this extended rant, of what's going on with the Cardinals. And so just delighted to be back. We've been waiting for to tape this till after the DC hire, the critical DC hire was going to be announced. And but we couldn't do it Friday. And I just said, let's just jump on it on Monday morning. So here we are. And you know, the more and more we look into what the results are of this wide net search, so-called wide net search by Michael Bidwill, the more we see it really was one of the smallest nets imaginable. And you know, I wrote about this on Red Rain blog and described it as Michael Bidwill doing a belly flop into his so-called wide net. And if we could pull that up, we're going to start there with some of the premises that I kind of put out in the beginning. And I'm going to have Sam and Kyle respond. So if we could scroll that down a little bit. I talked about the things that Michael Bidwill. So Kyle, can you read the first part of this?
Sure. If Michael Bidwill was going to create the kind of splash that would have had a chance to put a halt to the rapidly plummeting ticket sales, he had, what is that?
He has adroitly.
Adroitly. That's you know what? I've never heard that word before. Look at you and your thesaurus right there, Walter. He has adroitly managed to do the reverse. How many of the remaining Cardinals fans are going to pay good money to watch this inferior, poorly coached product at home for 9 games in 2026 and be humiliated each week by the rabidly vociferous opposing fans who have successfully caused the Cardinals offense to have to use a silent snap count in their own building? To put the embarrassment of being a loyal Cardinals season ticket holder in added perspective, last year the Cardinals fans were treated to a 1-7 home record, watching the team lose the last 7 games in a row, while giving up a whopping 29.1 points per game. No one can simply unsee the plethora of missed tackles, wide open receivers, and blown coverages in the red zone. And for all of that torture that the fans were forced to watch game after game, to hear that Bidwill and Ossenfort, after teasing the fans by interviewing a who's who of promising defensive head coach and defensive candidates, elected instead to retain Nick Rallis as the team's defensive coordinator. This comes as major a buzzkill as one can imagine. As excited as the Mike LaFleur's number one priority fans were when Bidwill, after getting spurned by Clint Kubiak, handed him to them on a silver platter, we now know that LaFleur was unable to attract a defensive coordinator who could give the Cardinals a fighter's chance against McVay, Shanahan, and Sam Darnold. Therefore, 2 weeks into the job, it has already become apparent for those of us who were desperately hoping Mike LaFleur could be the coach to change Bidwill and Ossenfort's modus operandi, that LaFleur is just the latest sycophant who is so desperate to get the job that he has been willing to sign off on whatever Bidwill and Ossenfort want. A
Okay.
mere 2 weeks into the job, Mike LaFleur has already lost whatever cred or buzz he had coming in.
So much so that local beat writers like Albert Balzer, perhaps at Bidwill's urging, are already trying to cover up for LaFleur. So let's go to Sam. What's your reaction to this?
Well, my reaction is to Michael Bidwill's reaction. So what does he do? He gives his televised football funeral, and he raises ticket prices. That's his answer. After a 3-win season, the owner raises ticket prices. Totally tone-deaf businessman dealing with his consumers. The Arizona Republic ran a spotlight interview, and 11 out of 14 polled season ticket holders have dropped and decided not to renew for 2026.
Yay.
That's how somebody listens to the needs and the wants of their consumer base and completely sticks it up their rear ends.
Right.
This regime isn't just failing, it's actually the staff. I said it, I don't know how many times. One thing we can count on,
I know,
the staff we hire will be better than the staff we fired. Well, I was wrong.
How can we be wrong? I know. I was so encouraged by that.
Every primary target, even those who are offered more money and better titles like Gus Bradley, turned down the job for lateral moves elsewhere.
Right.
This team, besides its terrible owner, besides its lame duck GM, has nothing to offer anyone who wants a future in the NFL. The biggest tell of all of it is Aubrey Pleasant. Now, I know that the Cardinals said that they passed on Aubrey Pleasant. This was Mike LaFleur's longtime colleague and friend.
Right.
Had a chance to build his reputation along his buddy. No. He saw the personnel and he realized this opportunity is a career killer. He'd rather take his chances elsewhere than be tied to this defense. So we're stuck with Nick Rallis. What in the world could you hang your hat on to keep this guy around? Oh, you owe him money. That's the complete white flag that this team had to wave. No other team would hire him, given his DC track record, and it proves that they were left with zero options. I think we are on a suicide mission led by a lame duck GM. I don't know how you keep him. I don't know how you attract coaches with Monty at the helm. I think keeping Rallis is it's the most pathetic hire in franchise history. It wasn't a choice, it was a default. After all the real coaches finished laughing at the Cardinals, they were forced to keep him. What's so terrible is it actually stunts player growth. If you think we're disgusted, what do you think the universal disgust from this locker room must be, watching their careers continue to wither under the guise of Nick Rallis?
Right.
Keeping a DC who oversaw a bottom 3 unit isn't continuity. It's career sabotage for every player on that depth chart. And then, well, this was not a surprise. As their OC, they step into it even worse, and they hire Nathaniel Hackett. There you go. Here's our coach with experience. Here's our former head coach. The only problem is that head coach has been fired twice halfway through his season as offensive coordinator in Jacksonville and with the Jets, and he was fired after 15 games as head coach of the Denver Broncos, making it one of the swiftest dismissals in NFL history. He was hired because he's a longtime buddy through his father, former coach Paul Hackett, of the LaFleur family.
Right.
And every time he gets fired, he bounces back to one of the Fleurs. Prior to this, he was, get ready, he was a defensive analyst on Matt LaFleur's staff in Green Bay.
Right.
Without these connections and his track record of failure, he'd be out of the league entirely. He's here to serve as a glorified hype man for Mike LaFleur. He's effectively a mascot in a headset. His salary is reported league minimum, and frankly, his salary is being covered by the Jets and the Broncos, who still owe him money. I don't even want to get into whatever football decision was made to keep Justin Fry, who's done absolutely nothing but stunt the growth of that offensive line that was doing so well under Clayton Tune.
Yeah. Those are really good points. And, you know, we had suggested here on Red Rain that a brilliant thing that LaFleur could do was to do what Schottenheimer did in Dallas, seeing as LaFleur's going to call the plays, go get one of the top offensive line coaches in the NFL and pay him as an OC. Which, by the way, when you make that bump in salary, people line up for that. That's not going to be a difficult hire to make. Particularly when you're guaranteed this for 3 years, you're going to get that money's guaranteed. And possibly sometimes they sign 4 years. That would have made a ton of sense. And then you could have had Hackett as a quarterback coach, or Matt Schaub, which they've decided on too. But that could have been the right thing to do. But all along, it was to keep Justin Fry. All along. Now, I will say there was some improvements a little bit down the stretch where the running game was getting a little better and the pass pro was getting a little better despite makeshift lineups. I'll give him that. But they don't get off the ball the way Clayton Adams' group did. It's just night and day. And it's clear that, and you can't blame, in a way, Justin Fry, because he came in to fill some huge shoes in his first year of NFL coaching. And, and people are trying to tell me on the internet, other teams were covering him big time. Well,
that's bullshit.
So
that's bullshit.
I don't get it, but this is who you're putting your players in the hands of. And the players know how freaking cheated they've been getting coaching wise for many years now. They've been getting low ball guys coming out of college. I mean, and line coaches, both the line coaches were from college last year. So came straight out of college with no NFL experience. It's no wonder our line sucked on both sides of the ball. We're awful. 29th pass rush. I mean, couldn't stop the run. 26 versus the run. I mean, once again on defense, and then on offense, all the good positive things we had going for us with Clayton Adams just kind of fell to the side. It's really tough. So, and then, one of the things about Justin Fry was, he was PJJ's, offensive line coach at Ohio State. And what happens? PJJ has his worst year. Well, except his rookie year, he was, out of sorts at right tackle. But as a left tackle, he regressed. He did not play as well. And he gave up 5 sacks. He gave up tons of pressures, way more pressures than he had. 7 penalties. It was rough. I think it was 34 pressures and 8 quarterback hits. And people are saying, extend him. He's elite. He's not elite. He's not. And he's hurt. I mean, I love the guy. That's the dilemma with me, like Rallis. I love the guy. I just don't like the coaching. Paris Johnson Jr., I love the guy. I just don't like the quality of play and the injuries. And, I feared this at the beginning when, they were keeping DJ Humphries the first year and putting Paris Johnson over at right tackle where he should have never been. And my biggest worry was if DJ Humphries is going to be his new role model in the NFL, that's going to hurt because DJ's so chill. He's not. And I always wondered about DJ whether he really got in excellent football shape. And my gut feeling all along was no. I think he was committed in the weight room, but I don't think he was committed in other areas of cardio and on the field running and training. It just didn't strike me as that was his thing. So let's shift here. Let's go. Kyle had that video up of one of our players' reaction. Now, this is not him. I asked if it was his father, but I think it's just a meme that, So this is from Max.
This is just a popular internet video.
Who is that?
Can you turn on the audio?
Yeah. Here. Well.
Damn! God! Damn! Fuck!
Oh. Yeah, that's a popular internet meme video. It's just a random guy, but it's just a popular video on the internet.
And this is one of our players tweeting it out. And
this was tweeted out immediately after the Rallis hire. Yeah.
From Max Melton?
Max Melton.
Well.
And it's no surprise the way Max Melton was basically turned into a pariah last year.
That's hysterical.
And, and the screwing up of the secondary to me is just, Buda Baker had by far his worst year. But what they were asking Buda to do is play first step backwards. And he's always been a first step forward player. So they basically eviscerated his whole game by doing that. So I blame the coaches on that as much as anything else. Because here's the difference. If you're a first step forward and you storm the alley, you get to the running back before he makes the cut, that is Buda's bread and butter. That is Buda's brilliance. But if you take away that first step, by the time he gets there, the running back has enough time to maneuver, make a deke, and be gone. And that's the huge difference. People timing wise, it's a huge difference. And it took away his game. But let me go to Kyle. So there was Max Melton's reaction. So Kyle, put yourself in the shoes of the Cardinals players. They have now seen these hires develop so far, right? What do you think they're thinking?
Well, it certainly doesn't give you confidence. But other than the interpersonal relationships, like I'm sure some of these guys like the relationship aspect with Nick Rallis, but in terms of the actual football, there wasn't a lot for them to hang their hat on last season or really the season before. You can give them a little bit of a pass for the first year just in terms of the amount of talent they gutted from the roster. And,
right.
A lot of the guys on the team now weren't even on the team back in year one, but each of the last 2 years, defense hasn't shown a lot of signs of life. And this, despite like the influx of talent that they've had over the last 2 years. So, yeah, you don't feel great about it. Certainly from a football aspect side. Obviously, Max Melton doesn't seem thrilled about the relationship aspect with Nick Rallis, but I'm sure, some of the players probably have a good relationship with him and are happy to see him coming back. But I'm sure it would have been a welcome sight if they'd gotten someone else.
I don't see a second round pick who is probably one of the leaders on the defense. He's one of the few guys who's played a lot, at least not last year, but the year before that. I don't see him posting that for the world to see when he's the only guy on the team who thinks that way. He's speaking for that team. He's unabashedly speaking for that team. He's sticking up for his teammates when he posts that video. He's disgusted. He's as disgusted as we are. And you know what ownership is saying? We don't give a damn what you think, Max Melton. We don't care what any player thinks.
Fuck off.
That's it. Oh, totally fuck off.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, I'll bet you Greg Dortch is the first guy out the building.
Sure.
I'll guarantee you, he's not even his agent is telling the Cardinals, fuck off and don't even call us. We're out of here. I don't care what you pay us this year.
Yeah, I mean, you can go down the line and guess too. You know, Keitrell Clark's probably not thrilled. Elijah Jones probably not thrilled. Mac Wilson probably not thrilled. You can probably just
Mac Wilson is thrilled because Rallis is the only DC in the NFL who will put him at Mike linebacker.
What Max Melton did there is tell that franchise your locker room is pissed off.
Right. Yep.
We need a coach who needs to put us on the field so we don't look like the Keystone Cops.
Correct. And a system that gets
That's
after
fantastic. He did that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
There's
the whole
nothing
system
a fan needs to see or hear other than that. There's your bottom line right there. As disgusted as we are, as many words, as much table pounding as we're going to make, that's it right there. Right there. Hey, hey, Mike Bidwill, F you.
Right. Exactly.
We've just you another year of looking like an idiot, not knowing how to play, ruining my career, limiting my growth as a player and my ability to earn a salary. And believe me, if he was the only guy who sort of thought that way, you never would have seen that. He was speaking for the entire team, and every player, every teammate who saw it called him up or texted him and said, thanks, buddy.
Right. Yeah, Kyle, can you pull up, and I want you to read what LaFleur's remarks were about hiring Rallis.
I wonder what LaFleur's thoughts were when he saw that.
Bye-bye, Max.
Bye-bye, Max. And what did I step into?
You just wrote your ticket out of here, and Max, yeah, baby, yeah. Absolutely. The opposite video. Get me out of here. His brother plays in the NFL. Yes,
Bo. Plays for Green Bay. You know who his coach is?
The other LaFleur.
And we got to talk about the Matt LaFleur, Jonathan Gannon influence on this whole thing.
I predict right now, Matt LaFleur's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon is going to cost him his job.
I agree with you. I mean, that is going to be a sinking ship in Green Bay because all those other teams are going by them.
You think Mike Parsons is going to put up with this shit? Absolutely not.
Oh, man. Here you go.
All right. Nick Rallis. This is Mike LaFleur's comments on hiring Nick Rallis. Quote, Nick is someone I've always had great respect for, especially going against him in the division over the last 3 years. During the interview process, I expressed that he was someone I held in high regard and would be very interested in talking to about the position. I've had the chance to meet with him and pick his brain over the last couple of weeks, and I'm even more impressed than I was before. I know the respect he has from coaches around the league, and especially with the players on this team, and that says a lot to me.
How does respect get translated into his defense being the worst tackling team in the NFL? If you want to talk respect, it's not a word, it's an action. How does he have the 31st ranked defense in the NFL and get respect? And how does his team quit, flat out quit, for the last 7 or 8 games? They were a total debacle, an embarrassment to watch. They wouldn't tackle. They don't cover. Everything's soft. Can't give up the big explosive. So we'll give up every third down. They were 29th in third down conversions, or 27th. One of the worst in the NFL. Long sustained drives. They basically rolled over. If that is a sign of respect, then they have to change the meaning of the word respect. So this is just these bullshit narratives of respect. Okay. And in my opinion, after this, my opinion of Mike LaFleur is one of disrespect. I think this proves it to me already. This guy doesn't understand football the way Bidwill and Ossenfort don't understand football.
Me too.
It's
in
just
one statement.
unbelievable that he would. And it also signifies, notice how he said, I said from the beginning I wanted to interview. This was Bidwill and Austin Fort's mandate. This is why other people didn't want to have this job. Because Nick Rallis was sitting there the way that Vance Joseph was sitting there a year before, supposedly, and they're sitting there part of a quid pro quo. We really love Rallis. We think he's a genius. Meanwhile, you look at the tapes and look at what his defense was doing, and you are disgusted. If you did any background and you watch those games, as we fans were, you are disgusted with what you see. And you cannot possibly walk that back. And yet you do. And by saying, oh, he's so respected around the league. And this bullshit from the beginning that was probably started by the Phoenix guys about Rallis being a head coach candidate in 2026. It was so bogus. It's the same old too much too soon, put a guy on a pedestal. He hasn't coached a defense that's more than 23rd in the league. And they're so flawed. They're so soft. How can he be, here's his problem. Yeah, they'll dial up a creative blitz. Only what's the problem? He zones it on the backside. So it's an easy, every hot route is wide open. So yeah, you could say, oh, what a creative blitz. But then you say, oh, bummer, because the guys are open. I mean, so,
That statement by Mike LaFleur, completely, for me.
Yeah.
I gave him a pass on the Hackett hire because they're buddies. Okay, right. Nepotism runs through the NFL. But right. After that statement, and then a few of the others, after all the goodwill and all the high hopes I had for Mike LaFleur after the press conference, flushed down the toilet. Yeah. I expect this guy became a liar, a lackey.
Correct.
A corporate fool, a corporate shill.
Right.
I have no respect for him. In fact, I'm no longer rooting for him. I want to see him be humiliated.
Right.
And it's a terrible thing for a fan to say that about a new head coach or any coach, right. Or even his team.
Right.
The complete and total humiliation is what has to happen this season. This city, this state, any fan needs to say, no more Cardinals if there's a Bidwill around. That's got to be the end. It's got to be the end. It's got to be reflected in ticket sales. That's why I brought up at the outset of the show today that 11 out of 14 these are long-time season ticket holders. These are ticket holders who've been hanging in there for the last 10 years. Right. They dropped their tickets. It needs to become so bad that the competition committee and the NFL needs to take a good look at this moron and say, you have no aptitude for football. You have no love for football. You're just sucking on the tit of the NFL, and you need to go. Take your $7 billion, right. You stupid SOB, and get the hell out of sports.
Yep.
That's the fans have to make it happen. And I hear all this stuff. Yep. Oh, we can't do anything about it. We'll just have to live with them. No. Quit buying jerseys. Quit spending any money on this. If this was a product sitting on the shelf, no one would touch it.
Right.
Quit buying this crap.
Right. Yep.
He raised ticket prices. That's how much he loves you. That's how much he disrespects you. Give it to him back. Enough's enough.
And I would say this. There were guys who would have taken that DC job. There were plenty of guys who would have taken it. I think they're trying to say like, oh, well, everyone else is passing. That's bullshit. I mean, just yesterday. So Robert Salah goes to the 49ers, right? Did you see who they hired yesterday? Their new Gus Bradley is Jerry Gray. Jerry freaking Gray. They hired yesterday. I was promoting him as a candidate. that the Cardinals apparently had no interest in. That guy is one of the best defensive minds in football.
Yep.
And he's got tons of coordinator experience. He's had many years and at high success levels. So now they've doubled down. It makes the Cardinals look like a complete and total joke. Look what happened in Baltimore. They hired Jesse Minter, and then they get Anthony Weaver. I mean, they have two guys there who were head and shoulders above anything even remotely to what the Cardinals have on defense for coaching. And here's the thing about Rallis, too. Now, it pains me to say this because I think he's a great guy. I love listening to him. He's very intellectual, but he's so dang chill. I mean, are guys going to run through brick walls for him? He's just so too chill. I mean, he's, and it leads me to this. And so is LaFleur, chill. What coach do we have now on this staff has any gravitas? Like a guy who's going to come in at halftime and get these guys' asses moving. I don't see a single one.
It's supposed to be LaFleur. It's got to be LaFleur, and I don't know if he's got that personality type.
Oh, frick. I don't see it. I don't see it. And not compared to the guys that they were interviewing.
So Max Melton and his teammates posted that video on X when they got the word on their new DC. And then they read LaFleur's statement. You think they have any respect for Mike LaFleur? That's how he summarizes the intelligence and brilliance of Nick Rallis' coaching. It's over before it started.
Right. Yep. I mean, it was over before it started. I don't know why they paraded all these coaches in and out.
You think Buda Baker's going to play for Nick Rallis again? No, Buda Baker's agent is on the phone talking to any team, every team, and making sure the Cardinals know he's out of here.
Right.
James Conner doesn't want to be back on this team. Cutney.
As an existential NFL decision, he's got to get out of here. I mean, he can't play in this system, in a soft system. That's not Buda Baker. I mean, Jimmy Lake, his Washington coach, is over in LA. I would take Jimmy Lake over Rallis any day of the week. And, and over in LA, they've got, I mean, Kyle, can you put up that list of coaches in the NFC West who absolutely dwarf the Cardinals' choices for coaches? Put up that list. And if you'll read it.
Look at that.
Well, start with the Rams. You've got Sean McVay, head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, offensive advisor, former head coach of the Cardinals is just offensive advisor. Nate Shieldhouse, offensive coordinator, Chris Shula, defensive coordinator, Aubrey Pleasant, passing game coordinator.
All right, pause right there, because here's some key things about this. Of course, how many people can touch McVay?
No one.
Then them adding Kingsbury.
Yeah.
And get this. Who's going to pay for Kingsbury's salary this year? They'll probably pay him $1 million. He's not OC. He's strictly being brought in to be Ty Simpson's guru because they want to draft Ty Simpson. And who can do it better with a rookie quarterback than Cliff Kingsbury? And the Cardinals are going to be paying for it with Cliff coaching against them. What a freaking nightmare that is. I mean, this is like, okay, Cardinals, you're going to poach, Mike LaFleur from us. Here's what we're going to do in return. We're going to take Cliff Kingsbury, who's had incredible success in certain years as an offensive coordinator in the NFL, and I don't think gets nearly as enough respect as he deserves, in favor of LaFleur, who hasn't had any marked success yet. And then, so now you're, because and I think it was strategic not to make him OC because they wanted to get Shieldhouse in there. Who, by the way, who had more head coaching interest in this cycle, Shieldhouse or LaFleur?
Yeah, it was Shieldhouse.
Shieldhouse. No one had less interest in him than Mike LaFleur.
Shieldhouse was this far from getting the Browns job. All right, so
he also interviewed with a couple. He interviewed in a couple other places too.
He did. So
we hired Mike LaFleur because no one else wanted him. If he had another opportunity, he would not be the coach of the Cardinals.
And he wasn't even being asked for OC jobs. And people would say, "Well, he can't go left." Yes, he can.
That's also
because he's not a play calling OC. If you're not a play calling OC, you can. That's not a lateral move. It's a move upward to go to a team where you're actually going to be calling plays.
That's right. And let's make it clear: Mike LaFleur coached with Sean McVay as a non-play caller because Sean McVay's best friend is Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, right.
So after Mike LaFleur completely shit the bed in New York, he needed a job.
Right.
So Sean McVay did his buddy a solid and hired him as his OC, but he's not calling any plays. He's to sit there and listen and learn.
Right.
But one thing Sean McVay didn't teach Mike LaFleur is how to bullshit the fans. Right. Mike LaFleur's a natural at that.
Already. You would think from that just pristine organization of how to win football games, he would have learned something. It's like Monty. All those years with the Patriots, didn't learn shit. Hasn't done anything Patriot-like. Anything. Since he's arrived here. It's if he's never worked there. He's a Tennessee Titan organization all along. Yeah. Like kind of mentality. Until now, the Titans are on fire. And that's a different topic for a different day. But, all right, and to look at their defensive lineup. They got Salah, and now they have Gus Bradley. They've doubled down, like so many other teams have doubled down. Cardinals, nothing. So, let's go to the next one. San Fran. Kyle?
Well, you got Kyle Shanahan as your head coach, Clay Kubiak as your offensive coordinator, Chris Forster as your offensive line coach. God, I forgot about him. Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator, Jerry Gray, defensive advisor / DB's coach.
Tremendous.
We are screwed. We are totally screwed. There is no way our staff is going to match up with that.
None.
No freaking way. Even if they're hurt again next year, the 49ers. There is no comparison.
What's again funny about this one is that you were however close away from Raheem Morris as Cardinals head coach and Jerry Gray as Cardinals defensive coordinator.
Yes.
They had hired Raheem Morris.
That would have given us a fighter's chance. How about Anthony Weaver and Jerry Gray? Oh my God, I would have gone crazy for that. That would have been just because Weaver's a front seven guy. You got Jerry Gray, who was one of the best secondary coaches in the NFL. Perfect match. And that would have given us a fighter's chance against McVay, Shanahan, Darnold in this NFC West. Frickin'. It's just so embarrassing. I mean, look, let's go man for man. Shanahan, LaFleur.
No, Shanahan.
Kubiak, Hackett.
It's just not compared.
Yeah, I mean.
Forster, Fry. Morris, Rallis. Defensive, we don't even have a defensive advisor yet. Although we did hire a DB coach. More on him later. But not for right now. Let's go to Seattle.
Seattle, you've got Mike McDonald, your Super Bowl winning head coach. Obviously haven't their OC, I think they just filled. It came from the Niners staff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rick Dennison, senior offensive advisor. Aiden, is it Dirty? Defensive coordinator?
Dirty, yeah.
Dirty.
Yep.
Kirk Olivedati, linebackers coach, and Carl Scott, your defensive backs coach.
And those two guys, I was like promoting. Olivedati is like another Mike McDonald in waiting. I mean, he's got 14 years NFL experience. The job he did with Ernest Jones and those linebackers, I mean, the defensive job they all did was just phenomenal. And Carl Scott, I was so jacked about. He would have been a perfect choice because the job he's done with that Seahawks secondary has just been fantastic. And he's a great coach on the rise. That would have been a great hire for us. But, you know, again, here's how we match up. You know, McDonald to LaFleur, Dennison to Fry, Durday to Rallis. I mean, it's so overwhelmingly disparate. You can't even find one guy who matches up. The Cardinals just said they're going to rehire the kid Christian Garcia, who came in never coaching linebackers before and came in last year as our linebackers coach. And they just announced that we're bringing him back. So Olivedati, with 14 years experience, a Super Bowl ring, and a history of developing inside linebackers, to Christian Garcia in his second year, who was a D-backs assistant coach for the Cowboys. Carl Scott, I mean, and his NFL experience, it's just overwhelmingly like how Monty Ossenfort can sit there and make decisions like this, knowing the landscape in the NFC West. It's as if he does not know the landscape in the NFC West. It's just outrageous.
Well, he's set up another staff to fail. Here you have kids running the show, neophytes calling the plays. You have no adults in the room, no advisory experience, no one with any kind of successful experience to help this young team, to mentor them along. He did the same thing with the last laughingstock staff. The same thing. He's learned nothing.
Right. Yep. Absolutely nothing. In fact, he's made it worse. I mean, what he should have been learning, he didn't learn at all. And let's just talk about this for a second before we go to other segments, which we want to get to quickly. The influence of Jonathan Gannon in all this. You know, they had an interview with Mike Garofalo on Phoenix. Phoenix does some great interviews, and they do a lot of really good stuff. Some of the stuff about the guys they promote really drive me nuts, but they get Baldy, they get some really good interviews. So in Mike Garofalo, I typically respect, and now I don't, because he said ridiculous lie in the video that the Cardinals' defensive failures were compounded by such an awful offense. Oh, awful offense that ended up 7th in the NFL in passing yards, 2,000-yard receivers, and an offense that didn't fucking quit the way the defense did. I mean, not even close. But Garofalo's going to spin it that way because they're all on board with keeping Rallis. Because here's what happened, according to him, that Gannon up in Green Bay was telling Matt LaFleur how great Gannon is, how he's always on point. And my question was, on point for what? You know, the biggest caution and cushion defense in the NFL, which, by the way, doesn't work. Ask Matt Eberflus, their mentor, who's now out in he had a lot to work with in Dallas, and it was awful. This kind of passive defense isn't going to work in the NFL, period. It's not. Teams are too talented, and you leave receivers open all the time, you're going to get burnt. So, but the thing was that then apparently Matt called Mike and said, look, Gannon's saying all these great things about Rallis. And, how respected he is around the league. The minute Rallis was, now I'm sort of tight with some Seahawks fans because I do the podcast with Dan Viennes, and they've followed me, and I've been following them. You know what the tweets I was getting back was? From Seahawks fans? Oh, thank you, Cardinals. We love this. Because they know, they saw it. They see it twice a year. We see it every game. They're like, oh, yeah, bring Rallis back. Beautiful, baby. Because they were sweating it out. They didn't want to see us get their guys to either. They didn't want to see us get, Carl Scott or, Alvidati. No way do they want to lose those guys. And it could have happened, in my opinion, on either one of them. So, but here's the thing. So now, what is this? I'm going to throw this back to you, Kyle. And that worked because Mike LaFleur got off the phone and said to Bidwill or whatever, yeah, go ahead. Nick Rallis. My brother says it. Gannon's been touting him up in Green Bay. So, yeah, I'm on board. Let's just go with Rallis is so respected around the league, and the players respect. Gannon told us the players respect him. What do you think, Kyle?
It's a telltale sign. Well, first of all, your outgoing head coach influencing your current decision, combined with the fact that the reporting was they wanted to keep Gannon, and the reason they didn't keep Gannon was they literally could not justify keeping Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing for another season when you lose 12 out of your last 13 or 13 of your last 14. You literally just cannot justify doing that. But they essentially, by keeping Nick Rallis, maintain the status quo. And, you bring in a new offensive staff that maybe you feel like has a better chance of success than Drew Petzing did. But you've also been set up to fail based on the fact that James Conner might be headed out the door and Kyler Murray's likely to be headed out the door. And this is a roster-wise kind of a refresh year for your offensive players. So and Greg Dortch probably headed out the door, stuff like that, So, I mean, yeah, it just kind of speaks to the fact that I think if Michael Bidwill had it his way and there wasn't that public pressure to move on from Gannon or the locker room pushing to move on from Gannon or whatever reasons went into them going from 2 weeks before the end of the season, oh, Gannon's safe, they want to keep Gannon, they want to give him a pass, to he got fired, whatever truth there was to that kind of rings true in the fact that they got as close as they could to maintaining the status quo. I mean, if Drew Petzing doesn't get scooped up by the Detroit Lions, who's to say that they wouldn't have tried to at least make an effort to keep Drew Petzing around for another year? And ultimately they went offensive hire too. So maybe Petzing wouldn't have stuck around, but that option was taken out of their hands when Detroit was eager to scoop him up as their offensive coordinator.
Right. So Kyle, will you pull up Josh Weinfuss's tweet that I sent extra to what I was sending you guys this morning, because Josh is in a timely manner is reminding us of what Bidwill's up against, even though the NFLPA lost its appeal with the NFL to keep doing the report cards. You could just see that one coming a mile away, right? Like the owners prevailing again, saying no way, it's a violation of the collective bargaining agreement. Oh, really? So that's really was no surprise, although it's a bummer. But at least it did get. Oh, good. So will you read that?
All right. One of the complaints the NFL complained about involving the Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals. The union ranked the club last overall based on player feedback, criticizing the treatment of families, lack of family events, limits on pregame sideline access, poor in-game family accommodations, and the so-called deficient locker room, training facilities, and weight room. The union stated that players also faulted owner Michael Bidwill saying he, quote, slightly contributes to a positive team culture and is only, quote, somewhat committed to building a competitive team.
Go ahead, Sam. Give us your...
Well, Max Melton's video says it all. I mean, come on. And well, I got to tell you, Josh Weinfuss is typical of the Arizona media that lets this guy get away with this. Right. The Arizona
He's
media.
Not here. He's not here, which is good.
Right. But, you know, he just reports what's going on. I mean, he just cuts and pastes whatever crap the Arizona Cardinals feed him. I've never seen him once made a point to really let ownership have it. Even players who are playing poorly, coaches who are coaching poorly have it. And that's the way it is. You got Bickley. You got the Bickley blast. He pokes the bear a little bit. But you got to remember, every sport, Arizona sports, their entire budget is based on Diamondbacks games, Cardinal games, Cardinal exposés. You got the former announcer Gasbag, what's his name, is paid for and underwritten by the Cardinals. So you're not going to get any media in this market that really slams ownership. I mean, they coddled Robert Sarver for the Suns for years until there was so much controversy. Then they all cut bait, knowing that he was out the door and he wasn't holding the purse strings to their shows anymore. That's what you have in Arizona. None of it's credible. None of it's pointed. If you go to Philadelphia, that's how you run a football team.
Right.
That's how you run a football team. They didn't win the championship this year. You should hear the people bitching. You should hear the people bitching about the coaches. We don't have any of that because we have a conflicted media. We have a media that's basically supported by the owners. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. The same bullshit that came out of Mike LaFleur's mouth because he was an employee of Mike Bidwill is the same bullshit, the same soft pedal that we get from the media here.
Yep. Yeah. And so, you know, look at it this way. I mean, if 3 out of 4 of the Cardinals' current players are black, right? So, and the media in Arizona is completely white. Completely. And particularly what's hired by the team. All 9 of the writers, Darren Urban to, you know, Jeremy, the new guy, Gershwin or whatever. I mean, all 9 are white, all the way down to A.Q. Shipley, who was just hired to finish out the podcast crew and the you know, the game crew and all that. All of them are white. Paul Calvisi, you know, I mean, Dave Pash. All right, so if you're a Cardinals player and all you're seeing is these white guys talking about your team, and then when you're walking around the building and looking at the top page 35 employees, rank-wise and salary-wise, let's go down from the article I posted. Let's just look at those photos and look at what you know, how many people of color are in our rivals' front offices. It's just unbelievable. In this day and age, in the 21st century, this kind of whitewashing is just disgusting. And what's disgusting about it is it's not reflective of your community.
That's right.
Okay? I mean, and it's not only the blacks. It's the Hispanics aren't even represented in frickin' Arizona. So let's just go. Now, Kyle, as you scroll down, just give us the title, not the name. So let's just go.
Owner. So you got owner.
Right. Just scroll down.
Yeah. Owner. General manager. Assistant GM. Chief legal officer. Chief operating officer. Vice president of player personnel. Director of football administration. Chief financial officer. Director of pro personnel. Director of college scouting. Director of Media Relations, Senior Manager of Media Relations, Senior Director of Media Relations, Vice President of Football Ops and Facilities Manager, Head Athletic Trainer, Director of Rehab/Physical Therapy, Director of Football Systems, Football Analyst, former head coach, offensive coordinator, former offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, director of football performance, head strength and conditioning coach, senior reconditioning coach. Oh, keep going. Wow, there's more. Editorial control. Director of editorial content / senior writer, reporter producer, reporter / host, digital content correspondent, staff writer on the radio side, director and executive producer of radio and podcasts, associate producer, radio play-by-play, radio color commentator. In summary, 9 employees, all 9 are white, not a single person of color.
Read this next one. Executive assistants.
Executive assistants. Right here, Sean Mayo, Chief People Officer.
No, go back.
Oh, sorry.
Right here, executive assistants. Read that.
Is a staff of 8 women, all of whom are white. Note, you may recall a few years back that some of the office assistants who had filed workplace misconduct grievances were women of color. So now it's 8 women, all of whom are white. Right. Only person of color who you'll find among any of the highest ranking employees is Sean Mayo, Chief People Officer.
Which I had to Google Chief People Officer. What does that mean?
A C-suite executive responsible for the entire employee life cycle, strategically aligning the workforce with business goals, focus on company culture. That's a coded title. Talent acquisition, employee experience, and leadership development. Often acting as a people-first leader, the CPO ensures employees are engaged, productive, and supported.
All right, pause. When Michael Bidwill announced the hiring of Mike LaFleur and said, "Oh, he was our guy all along," one of the things he made sure that everybody knew was that Sean Mayo was a part of this hiring process. Okay. And it's so obvious to me why he did that, because he wanted to give a semblance of, we have a certain amount of diversity in our front office, when it's a total freaking crock. Well, I just took you through the whole thing. This is the one guy. And what really bothers me about this is, if this is our chief people officer, why wouldn't he during this process say, you know what, guys, what could really hit home with our players right now is having a head coach of color who they relate to, are going to relate to, and it's going to signify to them a total change in optics of how we're going to run this organization. So you're going to give them somebody who was an NFL player like Anthony Weaver, who they could relate to on a personal level. 3 out of 4 players. And I don't know, maybe Sean Mayo tried to impress that upon them. But you can't just look at all that and not think this Sean Mayo, unfortunately, and God bless him, is token. I mean, when you're one of 35, I mean, and obviously you're helping to form culture here, and you're not pushing back and saying, like, listen, guys, we got to get to be like in our own division. Now let's go there in our own division. Again, just name the titles as we scan down the photos. Here's what diversity looks like in the 21st century in other. Okay, so here's the Rams. Go ahead.
Here's the Rams one. So you've got Vice President of Sports Medicine and Performance, Vice President of Communications, Head of Employee Experience, Senior Advisor to the General Manager, Vice President of Business Development, Assistant Head Coach and Passing Game Coordinator, Offensive Coordinator. That's the Rams.
Yep.
Out of their 35 highest what did you rank it? 35 top ranking employees.
Right.
And you go down 49ers. You got president of 49ers Enterprises, a chief people officer, executive vice president of general counsel, vice president of player personnel, vice president and senior advisor to the general manager, football personnel advisor, director of player development, and your new defensive coordinator.
And this was written before they just added Jerry Gray. So let's add Jerry Gray in there.
Throw Jerry Gray in too on the highest ranking people.
Now you're world champion Seattle Seahawks.
All right. If you're going down the line, this is your chief legal officer, your vice president of community engagement, your vice president of human resources, your vice president of business strategies, your vice president and general counsel, your vice president of public affairs, your vice president of football finance, your vice president of diversity, and your defensive coordinator.
I mean, there really isn't anything more you can say than what the pictures just showed us. And, you know, my biggest thing is have your staff be reflective of your players and the community, you know, because, you know, if you're a player and you're looking at, if you're a Cardinals player and you're looking at this in today's climate with ice fricking on the streets and today's racial climate, you know, I mean, it's just like unthinkable. Now people are coming back at me and saying, oh, well, Bidwill's on every NFL diversity committee known to man. What a joke. Again, it's like a smokescreen, like, oh yeah, I'm committed to, you know, I hired a black guy. He came with us over to Seattle to try to woo, you know, Kubiak. But, you know, it's just a smokescreen when the reality is, and it's just the same thing with the Rallis rehire, is that the reality is it wasn't working. And in fact, it was failing so miserable that it was unwatchable. You know, and in this case, it's just such a whitewash of an organization ever since the new hire of Gannon and that crew. We haven't had a black coordinator. This will be 4 years now with even a black coordinator. And look at all these guys they passed over to keep Rallis. And maybe that could have been a ray of hope, is that, you know, you get a good black coordinator in there, that the players will now, with some gravitas, that the players will now rally around. But are they going to rally around Rallis? It seems just so preposterous to me to think that was even, you know, a consideration. So we're going to leave that there as, and this is the point. It's not about me. It's not about Sam. It's not about Kyle. And it's not about any of you. It's about the Cardinals players and who they will rally around, who they will relate to, and who they will feel comfortable being a part of. And I think that the way this is set up has turned a lot of them off. We saw a lot of them quit halfway through last season. And now, you know, fans are crying for another tank. In my opinion, that would be the absolute worst thing to ever do again. Absolute worst thing. That will cost us another 3 years, you know, but we may not even, with what we've got now, coaching-wise, they might be trying all they can to win, and it may not happen because they're just not matchups for the guys they're coaching against. So maybe it's set up that way just by default. Is it, oh, good, well, now we're going to be able to tank. But the irony of that is that even if we tank, expect a quarterback to tell us, no, I'm not going to the Cardinals. You know, no self-respecting prospect right now should want to come here, and given the choice. And now that there's, NIH money for quarterbacks in college, quarterbacks have choices, and they also can dictate who they're going to go to in a certain respect. So even if the Cardinals have the first pick next year and they want Arch Manning, are the Mannings going to sign up in Arizona? No frickin' way that's going to happen. So you can do all this tank for Arch, and it's not going to work anyway. So that's it. And when I see
this day and age, guys will just go back to college too. Dante Moore basically just did that.
He did, and he probably saw the guys at the top of this board and said to the teams, yeah, it's good year to go back. Didn't want the Jets, didn't want the Cardinals, and so we'll take it from there. But I'm just, when I'm thinking of our players, I want so much more better for them. The facilities. Has anyone said anything about strength and conditioning improvements? No. Has anyone said anything about our slippery field that, in my opinion, is causing, and I documented the soft tissue injuries that has happened on that field ad nauseum? Haven't heard a thing about that, right? I mean, has been any staff conversations about that or reworking all that? Haven't heard a thing. We still have the worst facilities. And I know it's been pushed down the road for 3 years. It's coming to a season, near you. Well, it's 2028 is when it's coming. So in that interim, if you're a Cardinals player, you're still being treated to the worst facilities in the NFL, the potentially worst training staff in the NFL, and strength and conditioning staff in the NFL. The way that the player's treated by the owner, who slightly contributes to whatever positive, culture they have. I mean, the wording of that, the slightly contributes, is just laughable. So, and what he's really heavily contributing is making a huge statement by what the so-called brain trust looks like for the Cardinals. And guess what? It looks like 15 and 36. That was their product. That was what our brain trust gave us and frickin' screwed us as fans. They shortchanged us. They made us try to cope with college coaches, the most inexperienced coaching staff in the league. We had a head coach who didn't give a fuck. Anytime we lost, he just stood there. Yeah, it's all going to be we're going to fix it this week or whatever. I've never seen a coach take a loss so easily and just so repetitively. It absolutely disgusted me. And I've never seen a coach do so freaking little on a sideline during a football game than that. We got so fucking screwed by Bidwill and Ossenfort, and Ossenfort shouldn't be there. Rallis shouldn't be there. Anyone associated with that staff should no longer be there. And yet here we are, and there they are, and they're running Rallis back. It's just outrageous to me. And so now let's go to our fans. And I'm going to have Sam react to a number of them. We asked them to ask us some questions. We're going to spend the next 20 minutes answering those questions, and then we're going to have final statements and take this rant to end. This is my friend Valley Villains. Can you read that, Kyle, please?
Sure. Valley Villains is asking, thank you, Coach. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on how does the new quote unquote coaching staff influence the front office when it comes to free agency and the draft. Will Monty and Dave still keep drafting their archetypes? From what I've seen over the years, they're willing to take chances on injury-prone guys, kind of like how Keim loved his small school guys.
Yeah, I'll just briefly respond to each one and then turn it over to Sam. I don't know. I mean, the big debate is you go offense or defense with the first pick. Those tackles Malgola and everything. I like them, but I don't think they're top 10 players in this draft. And if you reach up for a right tackle at 3 with the star-studded players available there, I think it's going to be a huge mistake. The only offensive player I would take there would be either Fernando Mendoza, if for some reason he slid, or Jeremiah, the Notre Dame running back, who is maybe the best. I think Jeremiah Love is the best player in pound for pound. It's the most dynamic, game-changing player in this draft. So if we're going offense there, it's either got to be him or Mendoza in my mind. And those edge rushers are really appealing. On the other end, Caleb Downs. We'll have to talk about him next week because Caleb Downs is really special. And then the injury-prone stuff really bit us in the butt, and has been all along. That was exacerbated really bad this year when the injured guys that Monty has drafted are still getting injured. Even Will Johnson only played 11 games. I mean, this is a pattern that's got to be changed. And then, of course, doing something about these injuries and how you're training these guys has to be changed. But so far, we haven't heard a thing, Valley. So I don't know. So what do you think, Sam?
Quickly, I don't think Monty and Bidwill give a shit what their coaches think. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. And it's interesting you brought up the injuries because we had so many kids on injured reserve last year. Now plug in Max Melton's video.
Right.
And you know what it tells me? You know why kids didn't come back off IR?
Yeah.
Because they didn't fucking want to.
Right.
They didn't want to put any more tape on. They didn't want any more tape showing how out of position, how poorly they tackled, how poorly they were schemed. They didn't want to come back on IR. That was a decision by the players. And you have a coach who had no accountability and had no accountability over his players. So
no gravitas.
I had always wondered, why are these kids on IR so long?
Right.
Why are all these soft tissue issues going on? This soft tissues issue is going on because this team quit on its coaches.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Right.
Obviously, that's what happened. And Max Melton's confirmed it for me.
Yep.
So this ownership knows he hired shitty coaches. He's not going to listen to them. He's going to do his own thing, just like he didn't listen to his fans and raise ticket prices after a 3-win season.
Right.
Well, the other part is Monty can't really afford to make the mistakes at this point because his job is in jeopardy.
Oh, boy.
Which is where the timelines being off is where it all messes up.
Monty's biggest mistake was the career-defining one. He went to work for an idiot, and he's become an idiot. Just like Keim, just like all the Rod Graves, just like all the rest of them. When you work with a moron, you become a moron.
Well, especially when Robert Kraft, a control freak.
Yeah, when you work for Robert Kraft, you have a future. When you work for Mike Bidwill, save your money because you're done.
Yep. So next up.
All right. Next up, this is a Cards fan 31 responding. Walt, thanks for ruining my Sunday coming out of your story about Nick Rallis.
Sorry, guy.
My only hope is that 1, Rallis is adaptable on scheme and Matt LaFleur will dictate changes. 2, Matt LaFleur will hire a senior defensive advisor to help Rallis.
Amen.
3, the Cardinals will hire a dedicated tackling coach, as some teams have done, and include live tackling practice.
Amen.
4, the Cardinals will revamp their strength and conditioning program. And 5, the Cardinals will conduct a serious study on whether the field may be contributing to an abnormal amount of injuries. Likelihood of this is 0, which means I'll probably be banging my head against the wall and gouging my eyes out for another season. Go Cardinals.
Yeah, Cards fan 31, thanks for this. And I think it was timely, and I love all of your suggestions. And I fear that none of them will come true. It doesn't seem to be phasing Bidwill. He's just trying to keep the status quo as much as he can. And he's got major potential problems ahead of him with now the Flores-Wilkes case is going to court. What a breakthrough that's been. That's just awesome. And, you know, that's going to get potentially messy once again for Bidwill. And it should. It should. The documentation on that, I've read it. It's damning. It's damning treatment of an employee, let alone a head coach. But anyway, I'm so glad I would hire you as GM right now to do this, Cards Fan 31, and I hope you're right. We need some ray of hope with some of these things, especially with advisors and I will tell you this on number 5, we don't need a serious study. I've already done it. There's no doubt that when you practice on this field for training camp and all those games, it's slippery enough that it's contributing to all kinds of soft tissue issues and non-contact injuries. Like Kyler's on a slippery field trying to make a cut against the Patriots. You know, you can go down Carson Palmer in a pocket, crumbling without, you can go down the list of these injuries that have happened at home and attribute them to a sloppy field. When you play in a dome, and it doesn't have to be ever. So, Sam, your response to Cards Fan 31?
Yeah, great suggestions. Unfortunately, his most spot-on comment was, and I quote, "The likelihood of this is 0."
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely the last couple, because we could talk about the report card thing later, but like 4 and 5 were expressly outlined in the report cards, and the Cardinals' response was, like many teams, shut up, and we're going to just ban the report cards instead of being held publicly accountable.
Let's go to T. Maddie.
All right, T. Maddie. First comment here. From the beginning, I thought we should bring in an offensive-minded coach to pair with the new quarterback we will be getting in the next 1 to 2 years, but that was predicated on a strong DC hire. Sam had a nice response there too, but I think T. Maddie down here had another response.
Yeah, go with that.
Is retaining Rallis for the purposes of 1, fueling the tank job for a QB in 2027, 2, saving money. I assume he was already under contract, which he was. 3, allowing a scapegoat for LaFleur if things go poorly, and or for some other reasons.
All the above.
Yep.
All the above.
Yep. The scapegoat one, I think, is the strongest one too, because LaFleur, if and when this thing goes bad, LaFleur is going to have to make staff changes, and it's easier to say, Nathaniel Hackett's a dum-dum, and the guy who was here before was the problem.
Right.
Instead of, giving you another shot to make another hire type of situation.
Let's load up the truck and head to Beverly with Jethro Bodine. Love this guy. Love Team Maddie. I love all our guys. Our guys are great. We got the best fans on Red Rain. And,
all right.
they're not.
Here we go. He made all of us better. What a scam. LOL, I hadn't seen the presser. Someone who persistently lies even when the audience knows they are lying is a pathological liar. I have a gut. This is a big part of the reason people don't want to work for this team. I'm guessing gut feeling is what he was trying to say. He's
referring to Bidwill's statement at the firing of Petzing presser that extolling Gannon by this statement, he made all of us better. And this is why what the Rallis rehire means, we know Bidwill did not want to fire Jonathan Gannon. In a way, Jonathan Gannon's still coaching this team from a distance. Because he's going to be in Rallis's ear all season long. Here's another thing. You just wonder, whether Gannon will be vindictive. He was acting his whole time here like he had it made under the shade sitting on a grass blade, even said 2 weeks before the end of the season he didn't worry about his job because, listen, Gambo, he said, I got the sweetest deal here imaginable. And that's the way he coached. Like he had house money. He could just, And here's the thing. When you accept failure and you accept losing, you can't suddenly flip a switch and say, okay, players, now we're really going to try to win. That's why if LaFleur comes out of the gate tanking 2, we are cooked. We are cooked for another 3 years. I will guarantee you that. Absolutely. I don't care who we get as quarterback. And if we keep, the same defense, no matter what happens, when a football team tanks, the residual effect on the players who are already pissed off enough, I'm sure, and feeling disfranchised by these moves. So the odds of them winning are astronomically low to begin with. But they're probably going to try, and hopefully they will try. But the bottom line is when you become accustomed to losing, you keep losing. And I'm wondering if the players are now just resigned to it, like the defense was at the end of the last year. What do you think, Sam? Do you think the players are now kind of like, what the frick? They're not giving us a chance. I mean, look at these hires. Look at this. Do you think they're feeling like already resigned to losing?
I got to refer back to Max Melton. I mean, here's a young player under contract.
Right.
That's his reaction. That tells us all we need to know. Again, he didn't do this in a bubble. He did this with the blessing and the prodding of his teammates.
Yes.
Max Melton basically said what every media head should have said.
Right.
At this hire. Good for Max Melton. He's my new favorite player.
And he's NFL.
And the only thing I hope for Max Melton is it's strong enough where the kid gets traded to a real football team. He deserves it.
Yes.
Another escapee from Bidwill football prison.
Correct. And our guy Red Run, Sam and I both really love this guy.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a great contributor. Kyle, read us what he wrote.
Red Run wrote, incompetence, Bidwillian failure at its most simple analysis. It's quite obvious Bidwill is in control of this failed franchise, tanking for a quarterback replacement in 27. LaFleur is nothing more than the next scapegoat, rinse and repeat. Fans should be outraged. This did nothing to make me renew my season tickets and nothing to make me want to support my home team. It's looking like another 3 to 4 win season in 27. Will we win a game against any division foe? Unlikely. Makes me sick to my stomach knowing that no defensive coach, A, wanted to be a coach in Arizona, and B, our best chance was, quote, rehiring our worst coordinators and coaches.
Well said.
Well said. Only one thing. Anthony Weaver and Raheem Morris would have taken the job. They didn't pull themselves names out of the hat. They thought they had a fighter's chance.
Yeah.
But
no, they would have.
Now that you've seen the photos, they had no freaking chance. None. All along, it was to keep Rallis. All along. And Justin Fry. And let's get a coach in here who we can manipulate, who will do what we want him to do, who's desperate enough to accept these terms because he wants to be an NFL head coach. It's as simple as that.
Think how positive this episode would have been had they hired him. Either one of them.
Yeah.
Think how positive we would have been.
Right.
And think of what we're left with.
I mean, Weaver is a big nickel guy. He and McDonald grew that defense, the big nickel, with Hamilton as the big nickel in Baltimore. And it became vogue. And now it's when it won a world championship, a Super Bowl championship for Seattle in 2 years. It was the perfect scenario to hire both a big nickel guy who's, guess what? The big nickel's giving Shanahan and McVay nightmares. So you sign us up for that, right? Sign us up for that. And you get a coach who your players are going to relate to more. And they're not going to feel like they're being whitewashed. So, I mean, everything was a win-win about that. And now it's Baltimore's game to get him back. Let's finish with the unfortunate fan.
The unfortunate fan brings up the most frustrating aspect of this all is that the Gannon Rallis system is basically the exact same system that produced 70 sacks and was near the top of the NFL in all its categories in 2022. Is it really the case that the system can't work, or is it more accurate to say the system only works when you have an elite pass rushing defensive line and an elite secondary? Then it works well enough to carry a team to the Super Bowl.
Okay. One of the things that the Eagles smartly did after year one of Gannon, which was a real disappointment, in his second year, you know who they brought into the building? Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
He was their advisor.
Yep.
So Fangio had some influence there. Why Gannon didn't learn more from Fangio in that interim is mind-boggling, because once Gannon was without Fangio, he couldn't coach worth shit.
That's right.
So, and let's just call a spade a spade. That lineup for the Eagles defense was absolutely loaded. I mean, it could have been the NFC Pro Bowl team. I mean, and the depth was loaded too. I mean, they had deep on the edges, deep in the secondary. And so guess who cleaned it up and got him over the hump? Vic Fangio. And we've talked about Fangio here. We really admire him. We were hoping he might be a candidate. And Sam snuffed that one out immediately. He was just like, no way, it's not going to happen. The Cardinals don't have what it takes to get him here. He was absolutely right. Is there any more here?
We've got
Big Sky,
and then Flash 87 too. But we'll start with Big Sky here. Walt, always enjoy reading your opinions on the Cardinals. Thought the though I think I'm tapping out. Growing up, I did not follow the Cardinals. I was able to attend the first game the Cardinals played in Arizona. And while living down there, they became, over the years, the team I rooted for. But does anything ever really change? I do hope that LaFleur has success, but it feels like he's already behind the 8 ball. I'm getting too old to spend my time on a team that continues to do the same thing over and over. I'll poke around here to see how things are going, but I just don't want to invest any more time or money into this team.
Yeah, I feel you, Big Sky. NAU, obviously the NAU guy. Sam?
Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing, Big Sky.
Right.
My support for this team is certainly not being rewarded. It's certainly not appreciated.
It also is just supposed to make you feel good. Like, I talk about this a lot in Sacramento because the Kings are going through a similar thing. If it doesn't make you feel good, there's no point in continuing to torture yourself type of situation. Like, at the end of the day, whether you spend money or don't spend money or whatever, it's still just supposed to feel good. I mean, that's the whole point of this stupid thing.
Yeah, there has to be hope. And that's the problem, is that, whatever buzz. Now, we were all here praising LaFleur for his press conference. That was awesome. But that's just a press conference. And since then, the decisions that are happened have made it clear he has no real control, except maybe the Hackett hire. Oh, and his special teams coordinator is probably his best hire, who, by the way, has had a couple of top 10 seasons. Did one with the Jets and one with
Giants.
Well, yeah. Oh, no. Well, with the Giants, he was 12th last year. So that's not too bad. So it looks like they made a really solid hire there. But other than that, I mean, with the Rallis coming back, everyone was so excited. Sam said it all along. The most important hire of this cycle was what? The most important hire, no matter what, they had to get this right. What position, what coaching position was it?
Which was it?
Defensive coordinator.
Well,
I'm quoting you.
yeah.
Like, whatever they do, they've got to get that part of it right.
There's no question.
And what a thud reality it was for us to learn a few days ago, that the reality is it's coming back.
DC and offensive line coach. Those are the two most important.
See?
Yeah.
So was there one more?
We ran failure back.
Well, I think our last one you wanted to have a broader conversation on, which is Flash 87's Ruben Bain conversation. Yeah. If Ruben Bain is on the board at 3, do you draft him and wait until second round for an offensive tackle, and then asking about running backs in the draft class?
Yes. Although the second round tackle, I love the Arizona State kid. And he should be there early in the second round. I love Ruben Bain. I would be thrilled. Now, here's our ray of hope. Let's pull him up. This is a perfect segue. The Cardinals just made a really interesting hire by hiring Etheridge, the University of Miami defensive passing game coordinator coach. And I tweeted out, once I saw this, I was like, whoa, if hiring Zach Etheridge is a move toward a more aggressive pass coverage and swarm tackling they assist upon at the U, then hip, hip, hooray. Now, I don't know if you've studied Miami football or their defensive philosophy. It is awesome what they teach these guys. And in the I included a description of what they do in their philosophy. Kyle, if you could read that.
Yeah. So the University of Miami defensive philosophy under defensive coordinator Corey Hetherman is built on ESV, excitement, swarm, and violence. It's an aggressive, versatile scheme focused on creating turnovers, high pressure, and positionless personnel usage to adapt to opponent styles. The defense emphasizes speed, physicality, and bringing pressure, particularly through slot blitzes. Key elements of this defensive approach include the ESV, excitement, swarm, violence, a philosophy emphasizing high intensity, speed, and aggressive physical play, resulting in the team's best scoring defense since 2001 when they won a championship. Positionless and versatile, utilizing a positionless approach that maximizes player strengths based on matchups, such as moving talented cornerbacks to safety or using multiple safeties. High pressure and aggression. The scheme features high pressure, often ranking among the nation's leaders in blitz rates and relying on heavy slot blitzes. Technique and leverage. The defense focuses on using a one-gap technique that forces opposing running backs into prepared and swarming defenders. Turnover focus. A core tenet is being obsessed with the football, with practices emphasizing stripping and forcing fumbles to generate takeaways and opportunities. The defense is designated to be simple enough for players to play fast, while versatile enough to adapt to high-tempo offenses.
Give me all of that, all of the above. And if this guy can have some influence on Nick Rallis and how they do things. The other thing is, Flash, no one will know better than Etheridge whether the Cardinals should take Ruben Bain at number 3, particularly over the right tackle. That will be an interesting. If he says to the Cardinals, this guy Bain is a program changer, you can't miss with him. You got to take him. You have to take him. I mean, but the other dilemma for him is going to be, and for the Cardinals is Caleb Downs. I mean, this kid is a freshman, walked on the field and was an instant star, and he's never looked back. He is as good a D-back prospect. And for all these years, I've been screaming at the Cardinals to hire a guy who can cover Puka, JSN, McCaffrey out of the slot. This guy is made to order. And we currently do not have anyone on the roster. Well, actually, the one guy I think who could do it is Max Melton. And Max Melton and Elijah Jones are the two best man corners, man to man. But Rallis doesn't play man because, first of all, his middle linebacker can't cover. Kaiser couldn't. I mean, man to man. Kaiser couldn't. That's why he's gone. Mac Wilson can't. He's just not fast enough. And that's why, like Shanahan, McVay, when they see us in man, they run the wheel route to their down up the sideline to the running back. If you have a slow Mike, you can't get there. You can't get there. So already, if Rallis is dialing it back with Mac Wilson in the middle, we already know it's all zone. Also, all they've done is draft zone corners. So there's zone, and there's zone stink. So some major things got to happen with this D-backs coach who's going to say, we can't leave these guys wide open, coach. We got to get more aggressive. I got to tell you more about the University of Miami approach, which, by the way, they gave up 14.6 points per game this year, number 5 in the country.
So he's Ruben Bain's coach from Miami.
One of them.
Well,
one of the defensive coaches there. So no one would know better.
Well, that tells me the Cardinals are drafting.
Oh, well, maybe they've already had that conversation with him. Maybe they're already, so.
Yeah, I guess he's hired as a cornerbacks coach, but he was what did we say it was? The defensive
passing game.
Yeah, the defensive passing game coordinator at Miami.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, when you have a middle linebacker who can't match up man to man, it forces you to play zone. But Rallis didn't care because that's all he wants to play.
That's right.
And, the Seahawks played a lot of zone in the Super Bowl. But their zone is a match zone. And their coach coaches it.
Right.
So there's a big difference. Match zone, guy runs in your area, cover him, man to man. I mean, then it becomes man. And you stay with him until you can pass him off. And boy, were they swarming to the ball all night long, picking up receivers who came into their zones and making it so difficult for Drake May. 3 quarters of hell for him. I mean, that was awesome.
Well, he has Leslie Frazier to reinforce it too, doesn't he?
Oh, of course. I even mentioned him if Leslie Frazier were our DC right now, I'd be overjoyed.
Perfect.
I mean, exactly. We need someone with gravitas, not someone inexperienced and kind of trying to figure out. Somebody who's done it before, been there, done that, and gotten it done. That's what we need. And maybe, who knows? Maybe Ron Rivera suddenly gets hired after all those talks. Although it seems like he's pretty happy being the general manager of California. And that program's going places. Their young quarterback is awesome. So, but anyway, but there are other guys out there. Marvin Lewis has, we've all been begging for him for a few years.
He lives 15 minutes away from the facility.
Correct.
Just give him a key.
Let's go pick him up in a limo every day and drive him home. So maybe some of these things happen and give us more of a chance. But for Nick Rallis, I'll be out of my mind, singing your praises if you somehow can not only change your approach, but in 1 year you can teach it well enough to do well. But the pressure's on for you to do that. If you think you can just roll this back, and keep coaching it the way you've been coaching it with no answers, then you're screwed, and you're screwing the players. And I just hope for you're going to get aggressive and get the fear of getting beat over the top out of your system, because you can't coach scared that way. You just can't. You've got to teach your players how to win their one-on-one battles, how to help over the top, but in normal situations, and how not to give up these really easy third down conversions, to all-star receivers, where you just say, all week you didn't prepare for this? Justin Jefferson catches a 4th and 7, 8 yards down the field with no one around him, and we lose that game. George Kittle keeps catching wide open touchdowns against the Cardinals. Cody Ford, weren't prepared for him, were we? Do I need to bring up Cody Ford?
It's going to be the play that we're going to remember for years and years, is the offensive lineman catching the pass. We're going to remember it, certainly, for many years.
We have never covered an offensive lineman when they're eligible, to my knowledge. Never seen it. Or fullback. Juice Check can get a touchdown anytime he wants against the Cardinals. They don't even account for him. All he has to do is run a little flat pass. Bing, you're good. So there are matchup problems galore in this defense, and they got to teach man defense way better. They got to tackle way better. So there's a lot on the plate here. If Rallis this is his chance to reverse the script, not only for himself, but especially for the players. And somehow he's going to have to win over their trust. Because I can't imagine look at Max Melton. Going back to him. All right, parting shots, my boys. Sam?
Well, I have to apologize for my fellow Cardinal fans for this. I've been a Cardinal fan my entire life. But once again, ownership has managed to do what should be the impossible, and that is turn me against my own team. I'm back in that dark place where the only thing worth cheering for is the young talent on the field.
Right.
Watching and rooting for those kids to try to overcome a front office and an owner that seems to have a PhD in dysfunction and cheapness and failure. They have the 4th hardest schedule this coming season. At this point, I don't think, and frankly, I'm actually hoping they lose every one of those games in a failure so massive, so humiliating, that it finally forces a reckoning. I want it to be so embarrassing that even Bidwill can't ignore the stench and is finally shamed into selling this team to someone who actually gives a shit about winning instead of just cutting corners and feeding off the NFL tit. I don't know how else to say it.
Right.
So I want to see a complete and total disaster. I'll bet you any amount of money after seeing that Max Melton video that there'll be a mass mutiny. There'll be a closed door meeting sometime during the season. And I just hope it's as ugly as it can be, where this idiot just can't stand the heat anymore. The league is going to poke a hole in him, and he's going to move on. He's going to take his $7 billion and finally find something he might be good at, because he sure as hell ain't good at this. I don't even know if he's trying to be good at it, but he's got to go. He's got to go. And there are mechanisms in the NFL when your season tickets are so low, where your revenues have dropped so much, that the league is going to step in and they're going to say, time for a change. We've got a list a mile long of people who'll put you out of your misery. It's time to seriously consider it. And this is what we want you to do.
Well said. Thank you,
I'm
buddy.
sorry I had to say that. I apologize to all the fans, but that's where I'm at. And I've been here before when the old man ran the team.
Well,
But
at
that's
Red
where I'm
Rain,
at.
we tell what we really feel. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. And I'm going to echo some of the things when I get to my turn. Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the place where Sam has been before in terms of fandom, and I got to the point in my life, and part of it is working in sports, and part of it is rooting for enough losers, where I just got to the point where I was like, I just won't do it anymore. Like I just check out instead of trying to root against your team's own interest or trying to manipulate, draft positioning or trying to, even just get excited about young players. I mean, it's a futile exercise because you never know which young players are going to work out, and it's just not a worthwhile use of time, energy, and honestly just life in general. At least in my mind, I got to the point where I just check out on bad teams instead of trying to will the young players into success. And maybe I don't get to enjoy the stories or the come ups in the same way, but the trade-off is you get a lot of other things that you can pick up in your life. And it's an awful position to be in when ownership is the problem. Everyone acknowledges ownership is the problem, and there's just no workaround to it. And I've always encouraged people in that situation, Cardinals fans or otherwise, to just use your voice and withhold the almighty dollar, because the almighty dollar is the thing that ultimately moves the needle more than anything else with a lot of these organizations. Now, I can't promise you that withholding your money is going to push Bidwill into selling or push Bidwill to make changes that you want. That's certainly not a guarantee, because sometimes there are things that you want outside of having a successful football team. Like, Walter, you brought up the fact that 35 of the 36 highest ranking members of your organization are white. And we know where Bidwill's politics align. We know who he's donated money to. We know the causes that he's supported over the years, whether it be campaigning for Trump back in 2016 and 2024, to the whole Brett Kavanaugh thing that you've brought up before, Walter, to the fact that they funded the big Charlie Kirk funeral thing in Arizona over the year. Whether it's a kind gesture or not, it's a huge political statement to be willing to host that event. We know where Bidwill's politics align. You know where the money is going to. And sometimes with a lot of people, there are just things outside of putting together a well-run organization that are important to you. And that's often the sign of poorly ran organizations, is when things outside of what is most important, which is the well-being of your employees and the success of your organization, is what's most important. And in so many organizations that are poorly run, that's not the highest priority, because the people in charge have ulterior motives or have other things that are more important to them. So again, it's not a reassuring thing, but the best thing you can do is voice your displeasure as a consumer, and be willing to withhold the mighty dollar. That's honestly the only thing you can do to try and turn it around. And I know many Cardinals fans have been obviously doing that for years, but it's an unenviable position to be in when ownership is the problem, you acknowledge it, and you don't feel like there's going to be change, or at least change not in a time frame that works for you as the fan.
That's a perfect segue for me, and so beautifully said, because sometimes it gets to the point where if you continue to support the dysfunction and the egregious aspects of decision making that is just counterintuitive to anything successful, you're thereby colluding with it. In other words, if you just sit back there and take it, and I'm at the point where Sam is right now too, is that I am so fed up. And I've been trying to fight so hard to talk some sense into, anyone who's willing to listen about anything related to the Cardinals. And it's my own sense. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I've been fully committed to trying to help this team win. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. Here's what we just saw over the last couple of weeks. We saw an owner get up there and tell us he was firing the head coach because, quote, I want to win. And then he trots this bullshit out in front of our eyes. And we find out the irony is the guy he fired was a major influence on the guy we're keeping and on the new coach they hired. So you're getting rid of the one guy, I want to win, because that's why we're getting rid of him. And he's still calling shots. And he's making all of us better. I can't collude with any of that. This has been 3 of the most trying years of my football life. The whole 7 years, the last 5 years with Kyler have been a traumatic experience. I predicted the whole thing. It was easy for me to see down the line. I don't know why it wasn't for Bidwill. I mean, Bidwill just destroyed a locker room, and it's destroyed it twice. And now all these coaches are gone. Being a Cardinals fan over the last 7 years has been exhausting. And all the drama and it's just, we need a timeout. We need an intervention is what we need. Like so many things in this country need an intervention right now. Someone with an understanding of what success really means and what integrity means. Because think of how we've been fucking lied to, left and right and left and right. There is zero integrity in this owner. Zero. And so as a fan, it's totally compromising to support a team that is corrupt at its core, that would much rather try to schmooze you and lie to you than try to truly engage you and respect you. Because when you respect someone, you don't lie to them. Instead, what Bidwill said, I want to win, is a lie. It's a lie. If you want to win, you don't do this shit. When you have all this opportunity, and boy, oh boy, did Sam put it right. Bidwill is an NFL parasite. He gets his check. Everything's good. He can do whatever the frick he wants. And the other big, huge lie was that he wanted to spread around that they went up to Seattle and brought the Brinks trucks and made him this financial offer and told him extra money for coaching staff. If that wasn't the biggest crock of shit, this is what he wants you to think. Oh, wow, he brought in Sean Payton. Look at this. Oh, he's being serious. That was a charade. Oh, he's going up to, Clint Kubiak, offering millions more than the Seattle Seahawks. It's just another charade to make you think he's doing his job or thinking like he's acting like he's competent. Because obviously he keeps proving to us he isn't. And the lack of integrity, like talking about how Rallis is accepted in the building and respected by the players. And then as Sam rejoiced in, and we did too, the Max Melton video comes out, defying all that. So yeah, that's where I am too. I'm against all of this. And I'm just going to keep trying to use my platform, as small as it is, to just try to keep holding them accountable. Someone's got to do it. And, I've come this far. I'm sorry. I've come this far. I don't want to quit. I was an 8-year-old kid in New York City. But yeah, you test everything, every bit of your fiber to support this kind of ineptitude. And I told my good pal Trish after I heard the Rallis news, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I hate being negative. I hate it. I need hope, like anyone does. I need to look forward. And now I'm looking at a season, I don't even want to watch the games. I don't want to watch it. So, but I'm not a quitter. I'm going to keep trying until it just is so obvious that I should stop. But that's where I am too. And it pains me so much to know where this has taken me. And I'm not the only one, obviously. So for all of you who've been supporting us, thank you. That's meant everything. We're doing this as a team. And as we include a lot of you today in what you were trying to ask and say. So we're going to keep doing that. And we're keeping to work together. As long as people are interested in trying to, lead a cause like this, we're going to do it. So, but yeah, Red Rain. Red Rain's going to forge on. We're going to try to see every bit of light that we can muster out of what we see going forward. And I'll be the first to rejoice at any little success we have. So, but anyway, I guess that was a cathartic way of telling you that how tough this has been. And I know for a lot of you, it's really been tough. So, but I still dream of a day when the Red Rain confetti would fall into a red sea. And so I'm going to keep that image in my mind. And in the meantime, to all of you, thank you for support and thank you for Red Rain.